Okay, so when I got out of the screening for Venom today, I went to the first screening I could buy a ticket for, which was the 4 p.m. showtime, because I wanted to come home and film a review before I had to go back out later on tonight in an hour and something. And a manager at the theater asked me what did I think about it. So I kind of I didn't quite know how to put it into great words yet. So I was like, kind of like, yeah, that's how I feel. So I think fundamentally what it boils down to is that I enjoyed the first one more. The second one, I didn't hate it, but honestly, you guys, in my opinion, this one, in contrast to the first one, and it's, okay, granted, it's been a bit since I've seen the first one, and I think I saw it maybe only once, but I enjoyed it. I liked it. I know a lot of people didn't like it. Well, as far as the official critics, they hated it. Most of the audience enjoyed it. The audience reviews for this one are almost quite at the same level as they were for the first one, but I don't know what the official critics score for this is. I don't know. Didn't even check. So the main problem to me for this movie is that it felt a bit too rushed. It felt too compacted. We're a little spoiled by comic book movies that are 2 hours plus. Now, the first X-Men was quite short in comparison to a lot of the other superhero movies that we get today. I think that movie was only about an hour and a half. I'm going to tell you something. That film, it did not feel rushed or too compacted. I mean, I would have loved for it to last a little bit longer, but it still felt like the story was pretty well fleshed out. And also, this is not a comic book movie, but another movie that was about the same length, around 90 minutes, that I saw this year, Nobody, and that movie did not feel like it was too rushed or too compressed. But Venom suffered from that, or Venom 2 suffered from that, in my opinion. I felt like there really wasn't great character development for the villains in this movie, and there's two main villains. One, of course, is Woody Harrelson's character. What's his name? I had to write it down, or something. And he's also Carnage. And then his girlfriend, who's played by the chick that I believe was played in 28 Days Later, and also one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I think she has also played in the latest James Bond films. I think that's her. Sometimes I get her mixed up with another girl, but I'm pretty sure this is the same chick. I think she's British. I should maybe have double checked that. If I'm wrong, I'll indicate that in the video. But anyway, I've seen her before. I recognize her. There was pretty much no character development at all for her, and very little for. In fact, I mean, they try a little bit with kind of delving a tiny bit into what made him become the way he was. He was very abused child, but that's just very briefly touched upon a time or two, and we just don't get to know him a whole lot. He and his girlfriend come across as just your very stereotypical cardboard cutout bad guys / villain in a movie, and they just want to go on a rampage and kill, and they're just this and this, and you just don't have a connection with them. In contrast, the villain in Shang-Chi, he was extremely well grounded and well written, and you felt a connection with him. Now, you don't necessarily always feel this deep human connection with villains in a movie, depending on the type of person that they are, but it's still so helpful if they can be written in such a way that you can kind of sort of understand them on some level, connect with them a little bit, or at least they're written so that they're quite interesting, even if they're very bad people. Woody Harrelson's character did not do that for me, and neither did the character of his girlfriend. And something else that I kind of was a little bit agitated about was, so in the very beginning, they're showing a little like flashbacky type thing. I can't remember if it was like from 1996, Woody Harrelson's character and his girlfriend's character, and she gets taken off. And the guy who played the young version of he was okay, and I think they must have dubbed Woody's voice onto him, or either he was a really good mimic because he sounded a lot like Woody Harrelson talking. But then the person that they chose for the younger version of the girlfriend's name is Frances slash Shriek, because she's like a banshee type of thing. She can shriek really loud, make these like sound wavy things, whatever. That's just reminding me of Banshee. That's what I thought of when I saw her powers. The girl that they chose for her, honestly, when they then show present day, my first thought was that it was supposed to be the daughter, or that the character's powers somehow gave her the ability to get younger over time, because she looked younger in present day than I thought she did in the 19... I'm a terrible judge of age, though, you guys. Really, really bad. But I didn't even realize it was supposed to be the same character until it showed something on her face. I don't want to... I'm trying not to give too many details, but it showed something on her face that you can identify with, oh, that is her. That's not like her daughter. And that's not her getting de-aged because of powers. It's supposed to be her 20-some plus years later. Well, she didn't look 20-some years older. But I thought right off the bat, I was like, wait, what? Anyway, so there was that. That's something I noticed right in the beginning. Also, in present day, she acted a bit different than she did in the flashback scene. In present day, she seemed like... In present day, she seemed a little bit unhinged and sort of silly, like almost like she acted like she reminded me a little bit of Harley Quinn-ish type. Not exactly. I'm trying to think of a good way to describe how she acted, but her voice sounded different, and just her whole demeanor and countenance and the way she acted was completely different than how it was when she was the younger version. Now, I guess you could say her time spent locked up all these years probably did that to her. So that's probably a very minor quibble, honestly, when it comes to the overall thing. But I didn't feel like there was just something about the way she acted that character that just really didn't do it for me. And another thing was, there was some point in the movie where she briefly did this sudden sort of character type shift where suddenly she felt completely the opposite of how she had felt moments before that, and then she shifted back to being the way she had been before. And that little shift, it didn't really... There was no build up to her, or no convincing build up to this, to explain the shift in her character at that moment in time. And I can't get into details, because if I do, it'll give you too much of an idea as to what's happening. But that stuck out to me as kind of odd. And then there was also a part where the bad guy, Carnage, is threatening to do something to a loved one of another person, and then they say they want to do this thing right in front of them so that they can suffer, and all that. But then Carnage proceeds to carry the person out of sight, way up high, and so that made no sense at all. I mean, just these little tiny things that kind of started, they were just like piling up, and it just, on top of the fact that things just felt too rushed. It really felt like this movie needed more time to breathe, more time to flesh out the scenes and the characters. And I feel like as a whole, it kind of suffered because it was just too short. I felt like we got pretty good character development with Eddie in the first movie. There's not much more character development you really need to have with him in this movie, because he's already been pretty well established. So something that they kind of added to this, I think, to make up for the fact that, we already are familiar with him. We get it. We don't need to be reintroduced to him. We don't need to see him have this sort of arc like he did in the first one. So what happened here instead of that was that in a lot of ways, well, they delved into the relationship between Venom and Eddie. And in a lot of ways, their relationship is kind of mirrors a relationship of a couple, like a romantic couple. They're not really. I heard talk that they were kind of floating that it was that type of thing, I guess, to try to get more publicity or something or more attention. But when you're watching it, it's not really, that's not the way it's presented, but it is kind of symbolic for relationship struggles that two people who are romantically involved with each other go through, you know, because they are with each other constantly. Venom is in Eddie's head, always talking to him, driving him crazy. They've got these constant little spats, and Eddie's always having to keep Venom pulled back from killing people and doing all this and doing all that. And so they're bickering. It's funny. That was one, to me, that was one of the positive points of this film was that relationship between Eddie and Venom, and the way they just were constantly at each other's throats, and they go through this time where they are, well, let me see, they go through struggles, let's just say, in their relationship. And it's kind of funny to see that play out. Because Tom Hardy's good in here. I mean, I like Tom Hardy. Woody Harrelson's okay in here as well. But like I said, his character, I just couldn't connect with his character very well. The girl who played Shriek, I like her as an actress. She's fine. But like I said, in here, it just wasn't that connection. Michelle Williams shows up in here, as well as her boyfriend, and the comedic sort of, or the odd pairing up of the three of them at certain points in the movie. It's kind of funny, you know, because Venom he hates the ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend, and he wants her back, you know, so there's these just little comedic sort of interactions between the characters. That was fun to witness. And also, there is a mid-credits scene. So I had seen, well, when I was watching it, I knew there was going to be at least one. So I quickly looked it up. Or not, I didn't look up what the scene was going to be. I just looked up how many post-credit scenes were there. I found one source that said there were two. That there was one mid-credits and that there was one at the very end. So I waited until the very end, and there was not one. So that source was completely wrong. Other sources that I found do say there's just one. It's mid-credits. Well, let's just say there's some rumors going around as to what it is. Not really rumors, but let's say leaks as to what it is. And, well, I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm not even going to confirm or deny these particular rumors or leaks or whatever. Just watch it for yourself and see. And what else? Gosh, I feel like there's something else. I don't know. I didn't hate watching this movie, but I do feel like it could have been better. It wasn't the worst film I've ever seen, but I just feel like there was so much more potential that could be had here. I've never really been super into the whole Venom character and everything, and I've always felt like in these movies that the way he's animated is so gross looking. Like he's so messy looking. Maybe he's supposed to be that way because he's a symbiote and he's this alien creature. But I've never really completely liked the art that went into creating him visually. And also Carnage, the same thing. Maybe, but that might be a complaint that is unwarranted, because it's very well possible that that's exactly why that they're supposed to look that bad. Like they're supposed to look that messy and weird because of what they are. So let's say just maybe that issue is a non-issue. But what I was trying to get around to saying was I've never really been huge into Venom, but I did enjoy the movie and I did enjoy this one. It's just, I didn't enjoy it as much as I was hoping to. And when I heard that the runtime was as short as it was, I thought that was a typo, and I looked it up again and saw there was another runtime listing or another runtime indicator that said it was 2 hours and something. So then I was like, okay, that was just an error. But then later I found out, no, it wasn't. It really is short. So I don't know if maybe there was just a lot of stuff cut out. But honestly, I do feel like the biggest drawback to this movie is that it just isn't long enough. It isn't, the characters aren't fleshed out enough. And I don't know how it is that there are some movies where with a very similar runtime, and they don't suffer from that issue of feeling rushed. It's in the writing, obviously. Maybe this one just kind of took on a little bit too much. That could be the thing. I honestly don't know. It's just, I know when I see something, whether it feels like it's very solid or whether it feels like it's too compacted. And this was one of those times, the latter. Nobody was solid. The first X-Men, I feel like, was solid. This one, it's wobbly for me because of that. I definitely wouldn't say that I think people that enjoyed the first one are going to absolutely hate this one. But it's possible maybe they'll feel a little bit disappointed. Maybe they'll feel like they wanted to spend more time with the characters, and I don't know. That's just, so I have kind of mixed feelings. That's why I was like, doing the like, well, I don't want to necessarily give it a thumbs down, but I can't really give it a complete thumbs up. So I'm kind of like somewhere struggling in the middle, but barely above the middle, maybe a little, I don't know. Honestly, don't know. Maybe if I watched it again, I'd feel completely different about it, but that's how I feel at this moment, having recently emerged from the movie theater watching this thing. So I guess we'll see what everybody thinks. I feel like it's getting decent fan reception so far. I hope it does pretty well. But, who knows? Who knows how it will do? You can never really bank on how you think a particular movie is going to do right now because things have been so wonky since theaters opened back up again. You just can never really guarantee what's going to perform well. And you can't even, comparing it to how things were before the whole pandemic and the world ending and everybody going crazy and all that, you can't really feasibly compare things from before because the situation we're in now is so different. So now people get excited when a movie makes, depending on the type of movie, but people get excited when, like, let's say an MCU movie makes 80 million opening weekend, whereas a long time ago, that would have probably been considered a disappointment in a lot of ways. So it's just, we're just living in different times right now. But anyway, that's what I thought about Venom. If you guys have checked it out yet, well, you might not have yet because it's opening. Well, maybe you have. I don't know. It's opening day. No, hold on. It's not opening day. Crap, I forget. This is not Friday. This is Thursday. Jeez. Y'all, I keep thinking I'm a day ahead of when I really am. And sometimes I'm thinking I'm a day. It's just, my concept of time is so messed up ever since a lot of this stuff happened with Scooter. I'm just not as completely in touch with my days. But this is preview night. So when this review video goes up tomorrow, many of you might not have seen it yet. But what I was getting ready to say is, whenever you see it, how did you feel about it? Do you think I'm being a little bit, like, I don't know, overly harsh, or were you completely fine with it, or did you absolutely hate it? I'm sure there's going to be some people that hate it. I don't know, maybe the same people that hated the first one. I think that generally, if you enjoyed the first one, you will enjoy this one for the most part, but you might notice some of those things, about the runtime being an issue. I don't know. I just feel like it deserved more time for sure. Anyway, can't think of anything else, so I'm wrapping this one up and we'll see you guys later. Bye.